Hello everybody and welcome to the Cymru Cactuars set review for Opus XXI Beyond Destiny. With me today is the voice of the Cymru Cactuars, the legendary Anthony Fish.
Yo.
We have Mr. Daily Pops himself, Dale Coombs, with us.
What's up?
We have Yuna's best friend from Opus 20, Jacob Bond.
Hey, somebody likes me.
We have the man who activates Atomos on damage 1, James Cloutman.
All right.
And we are going to get stuck straight in with this now. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No introduction for Sam.
Cool.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, you know, who oh, yeah, cool. The still long reigning UK national champion himself, Sam Jacko. How is everybody today?
Good.
We're all good.
Well, I'm not upset to have completely forgotten from the introduction.
Nah, well, you know, you're the man who needs no introduction.
Evident. Good save.
Right, well, let's get stuck right in here. So we have, we're starting off with Ward. It's bad.
It's a card. Look at that.
It's absolutely an FF8 card because it is really good. I'd say in sealed maybe, but probably L3 and nothing else. Fire decks aren't playing this. And it only deals 7k. The stat line's nice, but you aren't searching it. You aren't playing it. Sorry, Ward.
Yeah. The only nice thing is this is a warrior, and you know later on that might be relevant. But yeah, outside of that,
it's a 3-cost warrior to be specific as well.
Yeah.
Which, you know. But 7k just isn't enough, man.
no, it's not. It's not.
It hasn't been for a long time.
So let's have a look.
I mean, the art is nice, but that's about as nice as I can be.
Man is ripped.
Yeah, he's got dad bod as well, so that's pretty good.
Full dad bod on the full art.
I like it. He's representing. We have Edgar from World of Final Fantasy. Job King backup, costs 3, and when he enters the field, you may play one character of cost 2 or less from your hand onto the field. Absolutely broken. And
Busted.
you can crack him and put him in the break zone and play one character of cost 2 or less from your hand onto the field again. It's absolutely mental.
I think that gets the Paul Fallon seal of approval.
You think so?
Yeah, I agree.
Starting early with it.
I am. It's too good.
Yeah,
It's-
man.
It's searchable. It plays additional backups if required. Like, what more could you want?
Fish ain't about that foreplay. He's just straight in there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
No loo.
No reach around, nothing like that. Yeah, just give him quick and raw.
But I mean, you'd even pay 4 for this turn 1, right? To go 2 backups nice and easy.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like you can search it as well as a king.
Oh yeah, I just realised
Yeah,
this king. That's
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Clara's target.
Sarah
And
target.
Clara's yeah, so engines in water and earth.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
not a Cat 6 card, probably too broken if he was. But
yeah.
again, you're
And
probably
his
still not
character
replacing the
is
Edgar
well.
that you already have for this one, all the same.
I mean, you'd run the old Edgar with, like, you know, Claris or Sarah but just because it's a search target to get your colours fixed. But now you actually have a search target which you want to search, rather than just, you know, was it 2k brave to all your forwards? The other one does, which you probably, you know, play on curve anyway, so you don't get any value from that.
Get
You
your
will get
foils,
value.
we'll see play.
Yep.
Flame Serpent General, Gadalar. There's a cycle of these FF11 characters, and we were saying just before we started as well, has the screenshots gotten worse? Are they lower quality and a bit more alias
It's
than
definitely
usual?
lower quality.
Yeah.
These generals, Jacob, you're the FF11 guy. Are these known characters? Are these liked characters?
I am, to be honest with you, where I recognise these guys, I remember there being trusts at some point. I think they're at Argon. To be honest with you, I can't remember them all too much.
Well, I'm glad they made that much of an impression on you. I'm sure they're going to make the same level of impression in this game here, because it'll get cheaper if you've got 2 more fire characters. That's doable. And he can attack twice in the same turn, but he doesn't have Brave, so you've got to pay 2 to activate him to get the second attack, which is not
Or
great.
put a backup in the break zone.
Or
Yeah.
put a backup in the break zone, which is
Even better value.
or with one that's coming up later on anyway, you just give it Brave. But to be honest with you, I know that all these kind of cards are going to get shit on. But I personally, I think that they might be a way of making some of them work. I think some of them are definitely worse than others. But I think if you can give this guy Brave and First Strike, having it like, with the other one that's going to come up, I think a 10k haste, First Strike, can attack twice, Brave is actually like not too bad. But, it's very much a we'll see. But I think two cost 8k is very, very nicely statted at the very least.
It does say put one fire back up as well, so it does have that stipulation. So it's not going to be Rampair.
Yeah.
We have the first legend here. We have Cyan, who's a big crystal boy. He's a samurai, FF6, neither of which I imagine are massively important, but again, we'll see on that. And when he enters the field, you may pay X. When you do so, gain crystal for each CP paid as X. The maximum you can pay for it is 5. That's pretty good.
I think the samurai part is more important than the 6.
Yeah.
Definitely,
I
yeah.
think you could build samurai.
It's upsetting because obviously the other Cyan is so key in samurais though, so whether or not that is incredibly relevant.
The thing is, I think as well, samurais have both the 2-drop and now when we see it soon, the 3-drop backups that give crystals. I don't think Cyan for generating crystals will be necessary.
No, that's the thing I was going to say as well. That I don't think it says that the maximum you can pay is 5, and obviously that easy to Ami or something like that. But I don't know if it's I think you can get away with just having like maybe 1 crystal generated off of this, maybe 2. But
I think you use him as like you generally want to top him up, like top up your crystal. So you generate crystals as you do sort of throughout the game anyway, and then when you play him, you just pay X, where X is the difference between how many crystals you've got and 5, because let's be real, that's really what you're going to be wanting to do with this card.
It's a shame that he can't use the crystal to buff somebody else, but I'm not sure that dealing 3,000 damage is going to be that good. Maybe, again, that's another nice little top-up if something else, but the 5 crystals for 9k to all forward opponent controls, that's pretty nice. I do like that.
And it doesn't say on your turn only.
No, really, really good.
Absolutely mad.
It's
a one-sided Susano, but on your opponent's turn.
Does this get the Fallon seal?
We can't just be dishing out left, right, and centre, man.
No, maybe not. Okay, so I mean, it's good.
Well, it kind of looks like Paul.
Oh yeah, well there we go. That's enough to get it. So that's the Fallon seal right there.
For comparison's sake, let's see. Yeah, he's shaved. Just keep the mo, and that's him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's have a look. What's the next one? We have Black Mage, 3CP 7k standard unit. When Black Mage enters the field, you may pay 1. When you do so, gain crystal. Until the end of the turn, Black Mage gains 1,000 power, and when he attacks, choose 1 forward, deal it 5,000 damage. Probably not.
Yeah, no.
Very good sealed card, I reckon.
Great sealed card, great draft card, maybe an L3 card, but no more than that.
No.
Not much to say, really.
I think it's a stretch.
However, Makeup Boy, just come from a Visual K concert. This is ridiculous. And all of these backups. The good thing is about these backups, and this time, is that they've pretty much all got the right name. So like obviously Samurai being the best name you could possibly have for this one. But more than that, the Earth one's called Monk, which is great.
Hey, finally.
Not called Geomancer. When Samurai enters the field, you gain crystal. That's pretty good. And if you have 3 or less backups, draw 1 card. That the only hidden text on any of these, is that it means that you have to discard a card to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's cycle rather than draw.
I think that's fine.
I do as well. I think it's, again, this is card drawing fire. Ridiculous.
Yeah. I think it's.
Is this not? I don't know. Is this just kind of worse than Geomancer though? For a 3CP draw card.
Yeah, I guess it's the crystal you're gaining to go with Cyan. That's the thing that makes it.
Yeah.
But
Fire
Geomancer is
has
always going to draw you that card, even if you're on 4
But
or 5 backups.
if you're ignoring the crystal line of text, then there are loads of 3CP things that are better than this, because 3CP backup search a card is better than just generically drawing. So it is the crystal thing that's what's giving these the extra value.
The thing is,
Yeah.
as well, is this makes your soul a lot better as well.
Yeah. It makes Soul a lot more easier to obtain as well.
So you're easily playing more out of that on fire decks, and it doesn't just go with samurais. There's a lot you can do with it. So
To be fair, I suppose it it's not awful playing this card turn 1 either, really, is it? Just discarding 2 for it?
no, not at all.
It's just a 2 CP backup that gives you a crystal, which is
They seem to have
obviously
lowered.
not ideal.
They seem to have lowered the cost of crystals in the last 2 sets, because it was that you play it and it's usually worth about 2 CP, but it seems that like it's still worth about 2 CP what you spend on it, but it costs less to get it. If that makes sense.
That makes complete sense.
I'm always just push it a bit more, I think, which is fair enough.
No, definitely. The next
And
we
if
have-
all else, oh sorry, I was
No,
going to
no,
say
go-
if all else fails as well, it's still a searchable backup. So
No, definitely, especially in which is difficult enough for fire, but we have now Shadow, the other legend, has Warp 3 as a 7 CP and 9k, and it says at the end of each of your turns, if one or more warp counters are placed on Shadow, remove one warp counter from Shadow for each category 6 forward you control. This effect will trigger only if Shadow is removed from the game. When he enters the field, discard your hand, then draw 2. I'm going to defer this to Jacko, because you're the big 6-man here, and I don't really know how to rate this. It looks good, but Shadow is obviously quite a contested name.
I don't think it's that contested. I think we actually saw there were some people that had gone actually back to playing 5 CP Shadow, the Legend Shadow, to try and have extra ways of digging that sets of backup out of deck. So I could definitely see an argument for playing this. Essentially, the reason why I'm a bit hesitant is with Cat 6 stuff is what it wants you to do is it wants you to splurge your hand, and then at the end of your turn, Shadow comes in and draws you 2 cards. The problem is if you're playing Cat 6, you've probably got 5 CP locker on the field, and so if you're splurging your hand, you're drawing more cards, and then yes, that's a lot of value, but it's going to be difficult for you to ever have no cards in hand in the turn to then get maximum value on the draw too.
Well, as well, I suppose, because Lock would go on the stack first when he enters the field, that you're going to draw a card regardless.
Yeah, although I think the lock is when you cast, so it's not when they enter.
Oh, okay.
So you wouldn't get the draw off the Shadow entering, but if you're trying to end your turn with because this is optimum value, warping this for 1, playing your hand out, ending with no cards in hand, and then drawing 2 when it enters at the end of your turn. But lock makes it hard to do that. But I guess you could argue you've just splurged you probably got a lot of value in getting to 0, but then you're just asking for a board wipe. So
I don't think this gets the seal. I think this
I think
is
it's a good
filed.
card. Don't get me wrong.
I think this is filed squarely under Wheel C.
Yeah.
Jack said in chat as well that this gets 1k haste with interceptor backup. The only problem with that is that this is more than likely going to be entering at the end of your turn anyway, where the haste is kind of a bit null and void at that point.
Yeah.
But it just being a 10k definitely isn't awful, being able to trade with some of the bigger boys.
Anybody else got anything else they would like to add? Next card. We have Vermilion Bird Lassie Katuna, 2 CP backup, Job Lassie. I wish there was a bit more for Lassies, but there isn't actually in this at all. But she has the abilities: choose 1 forward. If it is put from the field into the break zone this turn, remove it from the game instead. That's not bad. And the other being tap, put 3 backups into the break zone, choose 2 forwards, deal them 10,000 damage. I think this is great. I really rate this card.
Yeah.
It's not searchable though, is it?
No, but being a 2 CP backup means that that's pretty fair all the same. So, and it's put the backups into the break zone. So that is a Rampair trigger. That is a draw off of Thordan. There is lots you can get with this, and it doesn't say that doesn't mean herself. So she's going to get that Gumber dead and get another one out of the deck onto the field.
Mate, bring back those garlands. Draw a card for each backup broken.
Yeah.
God.
But I think it's a really nice way to end out the game anyway. So, like, you know, she can sit there in the early, she can generate you all the CP that you need, and at the end of the game, you can go, okay, cool, get rid of those two guys. I don't need the backups anymore anyway.
And then play Zande.
Well, you wouldn't even need to because you just won the game.
True.
Well, for me, like this is great. Anybody got anything? Any dissenting views?
Even the first effect is great. You know, like it's a good answer to the new Ice Legend we got coming up, and plenty of other things as well that have hit the break zone triggers. So it's a cheap, affordable answer to that.
My only worry with it is that I think you probably use that proactively, because otherwise you might just be keeping this backup up and be at a 1 TP deficit for like a couple of turns if you're kind of worried about something and wanted to remove it from the game instead. So I think it's actually got quite a high skill ceiling to know really when to use this card effectively.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, if there's nothing more to say on that, we'll move on to Warrior. 3 CP 7k, put Warrior into the break zone, choose one job warrior forward or card name warrior forward you control, dull it, and it gains this forward, cannot be broken until the end of this turn. I will move on to the next card.
It's a card.
It's a card.
It will definitely be in Opus 21 Beyond Destiny packs. But yeah, no.
Free Warrior deck.
Yeah.
Or maybe just even sealed Warrior deck is like the only
Sealed
place.
Warrior deck, yeah.
To go with him, we have Tyvus, who is a 5 CP 9k Brave Exvius job warrior. When Tyvus enters the field, you may search for one job warrior or card name warrior and add it to your hand. And then for 0, you can play one job warrior or card name warrior of cost 3 or less from your hand onto the field. And you can only do that once per turn. This is great.
Fantastic.
This is a really good one.
I mean, this is the engine card.
The
No,
only
it's-
good one.
Yeah, well, going back to the card before, the card before is actually protection for this. So this is your engine card. The cardboard isn't terrible being as protection, but yeah, this is the moneymaker for that deck, should it exist.
This can also play the first card we looked at, Ward, as well, which kind of makes that card a little bit better. Not by a lot, but I think one of the best things about this card is that it kind of color fixes any warrior card. Like, because it's just play a warrior or a job warrior card named warrior, so it doesn't matter if it's of a different element. You could play like the 2 CP water fire Firion in mono fire if you wanted to.
Well, for me, more than that is it searches backups and you can play Red 13.
Yes.
Just free backup for just playing this. I think that's really, really solid. There's probably a place for this. I'm not really sure about the speed of it really in fire decks as we know them, or if this is more of a fire earth thing. This is definitely fire under wait and see again, I think. But
Well, the other card as well for this one is obviously the fire ice Axstar.
Oh, sure.
Which loves 3 drops and is a warrior as well. So I definitely gonna expect to see some Tyvus Axstar decks.
let's move on to the next one, which is Neon. One of the okay Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin forwards from this set. So she's a 40p 8k, and she says if a fire forward or category Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin forward you control deals damage to a forward, the damage increases by 1,000 instead. Effect we've seen plenty of times before. You know, it's okay. When Neon enters the field, choose up to 2 forwards. If you control 2 or more category Stranger of Paradise forwards, deal them 7,000 damage. It's that
Jacob.
number again.
Jacob, contain your disappointment.
It's actually 8K, right? It's actually 8K.
It is actually 8k, that's correct.
As long as it's on the field when it resolves mind, which...
Yeah, but Jack Garland into this isn't a terrible thing, especially in sealed format, if you can get a chance to pull both.
It's like not terrible for sure, but then what the hell is Jack Garland doing sitting on the field getting ready to break all those dark characters coming down and dealing yourself a pot of damage in the process?
It's okay. I think it's a nice toolboxy card for just the 1k extra, but it's nice
I
that
think
just
other players that do that better.
definitely.
It's a 4 CP 8k as well. Like it's statted completely average.
Which is another thing that like is probably the problem with the Jack Garland into this. That's 3 CP and then it's 4 CP. So you're only playing it middle of the game anyway. Yeah, for me, this is, I don't know, maybe not, maybe some of them, maybe this one, but I think this has got L3 written all over it and not standard.
It's a tempo card, but it's a tempo card that it requires a lot of resources to actually, get the effect off in the first place. So it just kind of doesn't work.
Your better bet is just play Jin.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the completely average Bahamut Summon, which is, again, probably very L3. 5 CP, but costs 2 less during your turn, which is not great still. Choose one forward, deal at 10k, and the damage cannot be reduced. That's nice. If it's put from the field into the break zone this turn, remove it from the game instead. It definitely does what Bahamuts do.
Yeah,
the best thing about this card is that it's called Bahamut.
Yeah, and 3 CP in your turn, remove something from the game effectively is not a terrible thing.
No,
But yeah, the activation of Muti as well, for what that's worth.
With fangs.
it's solidly fine. I'm not even sure it's the best Bahamut that you could possibly pick. Probably the Kill 2 one is probably my favorite still, but yeah, I don't know.
I like the art though, which is a bit of a shame.
I love it. It's a real shame. Yeah, so anybody else got anything else to say on Bahamut?
Just reads like an older Opus card, but
yeah, good. Yeah, I agree with Dale. That's just a good point.
Well, it's the old theatre rhythm Bahamut, isn't it? So
yeah.
But at least we were sure that we were pretty certain that the Fire Sun was going to deal 8k. So doing 10's pretty nice. Shows that things have changed. Next up, Phil Thanos, which was spoiled fairly early on and made some of our newer players completely brick it on how broken this card is. But it's not. It's terrible and unplayable, and especially as a hero. Now,
just remember, guys, you can choose whether you activate EX bursts or not.
Exactly. So when your opponent uses the EX burst, Phil Thanos deals your opponent 3 points of damage. That's, again, it means that your opponent cannot use EX burst, but that's not great value straight away on this. But the best part of the card is that he says when he's put from the field to the break zone, choose up to 2 forwards, deal them 9k. So taking 2 guys out on death isn't bad, but we don't love death triggers in this game.
Especially and then again, it's hits break zone, so that new list Pavilion Bird to Sea can just stop that in its tracks. So.
Yep.
Even so, even if you do decide to use an EX, again, you can't say about the EX burst because what if you're playing against Ice Wind? There is no EX bursts.
Yeah, it's just the EX burst thing is just way too conditional. You have to have the Thanos on the board. They have to hit an EX burst. Like it's almost like a nothing line of text.
Yeah,
it has to be played early enough as well that if you're going to play this when your opponent's on like damage 5, probably not.
But the thing is, if it is there during the first or second damage, your opponent wants to get to damage 3 sometimes just so that they can, if against monks or something like that, like them taking 3 points of damage, 2 of which were, well, I suppose it can't be EX bursts, but but that means that Yang is going to go super wide with massive guys, which means that you've just won the game on the spot anyway.
Yeah, the issue is though Monks doesn't tend to play as many EX bursts that would. Well, I suppose it has increased slightly recently, but I don't think that would even come into consideration.
No, probably
but yes, not. If I did see an EX off the top with this on the field, I'd be like, bring it on.
Yeah, right. It's Tyro off the top, and then he's like, yep, cool. I'm going to get Yang.
Yeah.
I got 3 more opportunities to get another EX burst now.
So next up we have Bomb. So 1 CP monster for fire, tap, and put them in the break zone. You can choose 1 forward, deal it 4k, then search for 1 card, they bomb and play it onto the field. It's okay.
Reasonable. I actually don't think it's as awful.
4k has never been a great number. But
it's a finishing amount. You're never going to kill anything with that.
You can also target your own Maggie-Sun with that.
Yeah, that's true. That's not bad at all, actually. So,
and the fact it brings in the other one anyway gives you the potential for more follow up. So,
do it in the next turn. Yeah, that's true. It's not too bad. There's not a lot of depth to this, but it is what it is. Probably one of the more playable bombs we've had.
Love the artwork on it again as well.
Next up,
It's top through.
Marilith, the first of our chaoses. It would have been really nice if the Stranger of Paradise forwards had some sort of form change to them, but they don't. The chaoses are pretty good. All round, they're okay. None of them broken, but for rares as well, meaning for L3 and for draft and for sealed, they're pretty good. Just 4 CP, deal something 8k on entry. That's pretty solid. And if you have, you can choose 2 forwards and give them haste if you control 7 or more fire characters, which is really doable.
So got to be doable, because if you do want to get the full effect out of this, you've got to theoretically play, a forward before you play this.
Yeah, sure.
You want
can
to
haste
play
itself,
2 forward.
right?
Yeah, it could, yeah.
But it's only a 5k, so it does need to get through.
The 7 characters is very doable within like monofire and stuff, though, with the
monsters and everything as well.
that you run now. So yeah, it's a decent card.
If you were playing L3, this would be a massive consideration, I think.
Yeah. I think it's better than the Field Thanos.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Mutski, who is a Gito Cadet backup, 3CP, Type 0. When Mutski enters the field, choose 1 forward your opponent controls, deal it 5,000 damage. If you control 3 or more category Type 0 characters, deal it 8,000 damage instead.
Type 0! Who doesn't love a bit of Type 0 sprinkled in?
Wrong job, though. There are more Mutskis than there are Sices. And Mutski was barely in Type 0 and was in a mobile game which no longer exists.
The thing is, though, is based on the fire backups that you could have with this, you could get to the 8k easily enough just off backups, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't Mont Blanc do that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For cheaper.
And for less.
For less. There's a better version of Mitsuki. Or is it a 2CP version that you get offered, the 4CP searcher, which is just nicer.
This will do it in other elements, I think, is the whole idea, because you got the Type 0, the fire searcher into the ice backup. I can't remember what they're called now. But you can, rather than something like Mont Blanc, which for sure is better because it's cheaper and kind of easy to pull off, but only in monofire. But I don't know, 3CP is a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool art.
I love the art.
It's really good considering that it's a common. So in sealed, getting to the character number is really doable.
But would anyone have had an issue with this being 2 cost?
No.
No.
Like, that would have been fine, right?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
With the condition that it's got, like, I don't understand the 3 cost for it.
I think the initial damage would have to be down from 5k, so like
maybe
4K,
a 4k
and then up to
damage,
8.
Yeah.
So
Isn't Mont Blanc a common as well?
Maybe a rare. I don't know. Next up, if I wouldn't mind if there's a fair bit of text on this next one, so if Fish could read through this one, please, for me.
Brave 4 cost monk, multi-playable, beautiful full art. Warp 2. Welcome back. Yeah, welcome back to Opus 1 with this shit. Like, what?
But it's got warp,
Yeah, exactly. That's
Warp
yeah.
2.
If it didn't have,
field and do nothing.
yeah, does nothing, is in fire. We were discussing this card before the start, and like, had they just maybe given it haste, it gives monks a different avenue to try and go down. But
give a card 2k, deal something 2, 3, 4, or 5k, like anything else, and like maybe make it warp 1.
Yeah, or make it
I
like
love how it's designed to be looking at you. It's a bit staring into Fish's eyes.
It's just like he's looking at you, just been like, yeah, bring it on, and we're like, all right.
Guaranteed, everyone is gonna pull those cards and be like, "Oh, Fish, I got a full art monk," and I'm gonna be like, "Good for you."
I mean, credit where credit is due. This card does have a lot more text compared to another card we'll get into later.
I know.
I'm not sure that's true. Actually, I think there's more words on the other one.
Well, with the double job, actually, no, you got a good point.
Also, I think I just heard.
In the name.
I think I just heard Jacko say he's going to pay me to take the full out monks. You all heard that here first, right?
Yeah, first. If I put a full out monk, I'm going to pay Fish to take it.
I'll take a penny, mate. I'm cheap.
So on low rarity cards with warp, you've got this one that has text.
Do you know what? Going back to the last one as well. Do you remember when warp started becoming a thing and they brought out fucking Cumyaks or whatever the fuck its name is? Same problem.
Come on, get it right.
Yumcax OP.
Oh, just why do they ruin Earth warp cards?
3 CP Knight. You're not going to play this card. It's a shame because I like the concept art. Rain looks great.
Yeah.
Amazing art. You're not going to play this, and you only
legend as well. That
at least this card says enters due to an ability compared to I can't. There's another card which says when it enters due to warp specifically, and I think it's also a knight. So you could have played it off of the other like knight hero and then got the effect off of it, but it says specifically warp, which is really frustrating. But at least this has ability, so this could be played off of say the
7 CP Phoenix.
Yeah, that one. That's exactly.
Summon. Oh yeah.
Summon.
Axstar.
Axstar, yeah. This could be played off of Axstar, which theoretically means you could kill 2 things, which isn't awful, but there's
we've got a good card next, so we can say nice things about Rain. She's a 2 CP backup Mirage Keeper. It says you can break her and choose one monster of cost 3 or less in your break zone and play it onto the field during your turn. That's good.
Love it.
I love it.
Hey, that's good Rain, but
it plays 3 CP monsters. That's pretty big, regardless.
Why do you hate this called Rain? That's not exactly a hotly contested name right now.
Yeah, it's not really a
there's a lot of wasp. There's a lot of
well, I think it could be.
But
this is
you play monster cards in WoW?
You used to be fair. I mean, we'd have to rebuild the WoW deck to find out. I've not really looked into it much.
Because the Biblos or whatever it was, those ones they counted as forwards, didn't they?
No, you were talking about Frit and
yeah.
But yeah, it's good. It can play any monster, not a fire monster, anything. So that's Fire decks getting access to Scale Toad. That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's good. I think that there's definitely gonna be a deck for her. I'm not sure how good she is, but we'll see.
Fire decks playing Atomos.
Certainly fits nicely into multicolor decks. Yeah, I see that.
Fire deck's playing Scale Toad, mate. Broken.
The final fire card we have here, which is Leftia. She looks like she's just done a fart and tried to hide it.
And she left you.
Yeah, just hop out of the lift to let the doors close.
Yeah. 2 CP 5k. If your fire summon or a fire character you control deals damage to a forward, the damage increases by 2k. We've seen that somewhere, haven't we? On a higher statted forward.
On a more
Only one
expensive forward that requires setup to get the effect off.
This one is
for half as much increase.
And this is common.
Crazy. Fucking wild. Sorry, we're not after fire yet. Flipping wild.
I love how you only realised that you've sworn like 5 times.
Yeah, right.
I've been like, oh shit, I just swore.
When Lefty enters the field on damage 5, you can choose one forward you control. Opponent controls and deal 6, actually 8k. Really good.
Damage 3 as well, not damage 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just better. Like,
Let it go, bro. Let it go.
It's a better neon for cheaper.
That's what she's looking at. She's looking at neon.
I do love the idea of this being alongside Luneth and then your opponent being like, crap.
Yeah. Oh, that's horrible alone. Yeah. That's just Luneth and this is going to kill anything.
I mean, this with Faris maybe has something going on with it as well, because that's like you're increasing the AoE and you're increasing the ping as well.
I massively didn't like the one from a few sets ago. Was it Allard or something? The one that did Adelard. Yeah, I really didn't like that card because it just felt like it was too expensive to make it really work. But this is just an extra 2k just there. Nope, I love it.
This is something on entry as well, which the Adelard didn't.
Also, I would say as well that this will not increase your goblins because it says a fire character that you control. So if it's a ping and break, it will not do anything extra on that.
Character you control. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because you don't control it when the damage goes.
Turn it into the break zone on you.
Also, hang on. Also, just want to say this turned in the 1-drop Ifrit into 2 lots of 7Ks.
Oh,
It's pretty good.
yeah.
A 4K buff. Ugh.
Jin as well, being like, what was it, like a 10k first striker, really?
Yep.
Can I make a Cactuar deck with this so I can do 3k pings on my Cactuars?
Fire summon, fire character.
It says fire card, yeah.
But you put this Faris and those Cactuars in there.
I think this is a magical 60 card deck here that doesn't. This not going to do anything, but idea is cool. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to ice here. First of all, we have the fabulous looking red mage.
Another cool looking full up.
Yeah, he's got some boots, hasn't he?
Very cool.
No further.
I absolutely love this card.
It's great. So 2 CP 5k standard unit that when enters the field, choose one character, dull it and freeze it. It also has the line of text, when Red Mage forms a party and attacks, choose one character, dull it and freeze it. Straight away, this thing is never going to party. It's not going to happen. So the main thing is the first effect. And is that any good? Yeah, I think so. It can freeze a backup. It's pretty solid, especially in something be like Turbo Discard, where your opponent plays one backup turn one, you play this, and then get some discards in. I think it's great.
I think it's a shame that the job is irrelevant, or the name being Red Mage is irrelevant, and its category special is also irrelevant.
Yeah,
which is frustrating, but other than that, decently alright card.
You never know. We may get a red mage tribal deck one day. You never know.
We are getting more Red
Mages. We do
Mages
have Red
now.
Mage tribal.
No, we might actually get a red mage.
Not too much else to say with it, but I think it's really solid.
Right.
I really like
It's
it.
all right. I'm not as sold, but yeah, it's all right. That's okay.
Next up, we have Astos. Jacob, do you want to take this one?
So basically, what this card does is you open it from a booster and then put it in the bin.
Really? I think it's good.
See, I think this is a Paul Fallon approved card because this card goes in Ice Lightning Crystals because you can haste it with the Ramu summon from last set, and you're playing loads of crystals anyway because for Lady Lilith payoffs.
It's got Brave, so it's going to do that.
salty with this card. That's all right. That's my hatred for this card, is that I was hoping for a really banger of an Astos that could go well in a Stranger of Paradise deck, and this doesn't even synergize with any of them.
Maybe not, no, but
That's why it's good.
Yeah, right. That is why it's good. I think
and
this
then
thing
actually
is
make a good point.
I'm really impressed with this one, to be honest. So gain a crystal on entry and exit, and for 3 crystals and dull when he has Brave, which means you can do it on attack as well. Dull the forward your opponent controls, then deal 9k to all of them.
It's
It's
a
easier
very
board like
interesting.
price.
Yeah, it's a board right for ice, which it doesn't necessarily have. You've got to work quite hard for it in mono ice, particularly. But
it's what Curry Birds wishes it was.
I mean, we are getting a lot more crystal generation if you add in the starter cards as well, mind, because they're all some of the better ones are in ice. So,
I mean, versus like previously wiping odd numbered cards or wherever ice has, like this is way better.
Yeah. I think it's solid, and again, it's not limited to your turn either.
Yeah.
Realistically, you only have to get the 2 crystals as well. He gains one when he gets in.
Yeah.
Like, it's more than enough. It's not difficult to get 2 crystals.
It's like, especially when you take into consideration, you could play some of the knights and stuff as well for mono ice.
Or the 4-drop Devout entry gain crystal discard.
Next up, we have the first legend. We have Ultimecia, the last card of the week. Jacko, do you want to take this one? Because I'm going to say straight up, I don't quite get it. I really don't think this one's that good.
Well, we were talking about this before, and like I like it. I do think it's good. I actually don't think it's a card you build around. I think it's actually a card that you can just put in as a 1 or 2 of as a finisher. I think it's asking too much. It's asking too many slots if you're trying to build around this card. I think, the fact that it has this sticky effect feels a bit weird because its main thing is its entry effect. So actually, once it's entered, fine. Yes, it's a big 9K body that can be hard to interact with, but yeah, I think it is. I think it will definitely see play for sure. I think essentially, this is your finisher. You play it, you either win that turn or you freeze your opponent out of their next turn, and then you got almost like casting a paradise off that old Dark Legend.
Eldnash.
Eldnash. You can dull and freeze most of their board or all their backups and make them discard. It's almost like having nearly 2 turns to try and win the game without the caveat if you don't win at the end, it's not the end of the world.
And obviously,
I think it's definitely the better of the 2 legends, in my opinion.
Well, I think you got to really talk about them hand in hand, so we might skip to that one now as well, because obviously Griever is the one that can search them, and when you play the Ultimecia, it means that a Griever will already be in the bin for you to definitely do the effect. Now, I've seen a lot of hype on this one. People seem to be really, really excited about this. I don't get it for 6 CP. I think it looks too fair.
I disagree in that. I think in the way the game is at the moment, I think there's too much remove from game removal. There's too much bounce to hand removal, and there's too much dull freeze that I think you're going to struggle for this card to really be that effective. Don't get me wrong. I can see the payoff of being like, if it survives and you're getting, there's a really potent action ability, and if you're pairing this with a go-go or whatever, it's a high ceiling, but I think you're going to struggle to get to that position.
I think this card wants to be played as early as possible, but then I think it's a high risk, high reward. If you play this like turn 1, and it can basically be a scale toad every turn, but also when it dies you get something out of it. It can be very impactful.
But if you play it turn 1 going first, not knowing where your opponent plays, and your opponent plays, that new red mage, they'll freeze it. You've just got rid of 4 cards for literally no.
That's what I mean by high risk, high reward. So I think that the risk is too high, and then the reward is good. But I think
don't get me wrong. If you can stick it, it's great. If you can get it, if you can get it to replace itself, great. But because it specifies break zone, we've seen ways to interrupt that already. It needs to survive a turn to start getting your. I kind of think about comparing it to Une because they're kind of similar, stat lines, and both have ability. But Une just has such an impact when it hits the board, and in my opinion, that's what makes Une great. It's not necessarily the dull and getting a summon back. And sometimes Une costs 4 CP, don't even cost 6. So I'm not as sold on this card. I don't think this is the legend for me. Y'shtola's the legend instead of this, in my opinion.
Une getting back a summon is way more impactful than your opponent discarding a card anyway.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, you still got Nero Vice and everything as well. There's more to it than just the discard.
I disagree with that. I think hard break in ice is nice, and the discard is also great as well. Don't get me wrong. I think the card is great. I just think you have to work too hard for it to be effective.
It's what you were saying before about Ultimecia, in the fact that Ultimecia gives you an extra turn, but you sort of, if you're playing it for Griever, because you've got to pay so much for Griever, you're sort of missing a turn yourself.
Yeah.
So again, they file for me right under We'll See.
I think if you're playing Griever, you have to obviously be playing the new Ultimecia. I just don't think there's enough other good witch targets. Matoya is a reasonable target, but it feels a bit sad if there's better applications for it. And then you're looking at Maya and other rogue things.
6 CP Ultimecia, freeze all the backups.
But you're not really running a Dia in this because, a Dia wants to be in a mono lightning.
There really could be a nice Adia. That's still fine.
And maybe one day this card will be better in the future. But right now, I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I'm not hyped for this card.
I think the thing I like about this, I wouldn't say the most, but I do like that it's Mobius as well. So there could potentially be some Mobius synergies going, like playing this off of a wall. And then the wall is also a 6 CP, which is going to feed your
Definitely
ultimate
better,
wall, an extra
yeah.
discard.
No, I think that's a reasonable interaction I hadn't considered. But yeah, I'm not to be. I'm happy to be proven wrong on this card, but I'm not hyped to sleeve this card up.
It's a card that'll get better over time, though, surely.
Hopefully.
The next we have is Scholar. Not really too much worth saying about that. There's not really any Scholar synergy. But again, you're playing a lot of mono ice at the moment, Jacko. Is this something that would make the cut?
No, I think the backup slots are quite tight in mono ice. So I'm not looking at this as a mono ice card. I think this is a great sealed card. I was going to wait till later to talk about kind of why I think all these cards are really great in sealed for kind of color fixing. But it's reasonable value, but I think ice has enough good ways to gain crystals that side of thing isn't necessarily that impactful.
Probably Ice Lightning though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it will see play. I don't think mono ice is the place for it to see play, but I think it could see play elsewhere.
Because it is a name for Grahatia being 14. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Next up we have Kyros, a 3CP 7k job warrior with Warp 1, which is good. Is an actual good category 8 card. When Kyros or a forward enters your field due to warp, choose one character, dull it and freeze it. I like it.
This is the character I was talking about, though, that says specifically enters due to warp, and it's a 3-cost warrior, which is annoying.
Sure.
I think that might be too strong if this was when it enters the field, because you pair this with Tavis and you're constantly playing. You're playing a 3CP forward or backup for free, and you're dulling and freezing a character. I think they've done that on purpose.
God forbid 8 gets a good card. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, combine this with Theodore, though, because it's when a Kyros or a forward enters.
Yeah, well, I think that's the only place you really this sees play is in some sort of ice warp deck with Theodore. You probably, if you're going down that route, you're probably running Win to run the new Sid backup that searches warp things. And
if you do that, probably Vayne, yeah.
And Vayne as well. But then I think down the line, maybe that deck will be stronger. I'm happy to give it a go just to see if it's any, because, Theodore Vayne has a lot of potential. But I think I don't think there's enough warp cards in the 2 elements. And I think if you're starting to expand to 3, you're losing a bit of consistency, I think.
At least you get to run the Emperor, Liam's favourite.
Oh God, yeah.
The matter that's Earth, because you warp it for colourless.
You can also run Mist.
Next up, we have Bard, 4CP 8k 0. Choose one forward. It loses all abilities until the end of the turn. You can use this ability once per turn. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I like
Very
it. Kind of wish it was 3CP 7k, but I still think it's all right.
I think that's what makes it a common.
Yeah.
But the Parm effect in the past has always been pretty good in making sure that you can turn off opponents' abilities, and it's multiplayable.
And with Go-Go, doubling that up, getting 2 forwards to lose abilities is good. And because the good thing about this as well is it specifies any forward, not a forward of a certain cost. So again, going back to the reason why I don't think Griever's so good, if you've got this in the sealed format and someone's tries to get rid of their Griever as it's dying, you go, okay, lose its abilities, Do
you see it in Constructed at all? I think it's a solid tech.
I think it's a tech piece, yeah. I think definitely if we had sideboards, but depending on the meta, I think you could definitely make room for this in an ice deck for sure, because it's not a ability that ice has that much access to. So in that regard, is a big plus for me in that book. So.
Next up we have Shiva. Jacko, you're gonna be getting your full arts.
Chebs.
Chebs out of 10.
Chebs out of 10. It's gonna be beautiful full art, so I'm definitely going to be going for it. I think it's okay. I think it's great with old legend terror. 1 CP, dull freeze a character, freeze something forward, freeze a backup, and then you can then get rid of forecast and get it back to hand. I think, but outside of pairing it with that terror, I think there's just other copies of Shiva, like the free cast Shiva draw card is just better, I think.
Could you not pair it with the sort of, I say newer terror, the 4CP one, which is like when you cast a summon, dole, freeze something, because for one and get it back to your hand, that seems like quite a good synergy.
For which terror is that? Sorry.
Oh, now you're asking.
You know about the
I wa-
4-drop legend?
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Oh, did you?
It's not why I said that you should pay this card.
I think it was. Yeah.
I'll extract myself. Bye.
I think what I like about this is it's another playable Shiva, because there was that slightly older one cost the expert Shiva that counts Shivas in your break zone.
Yeah, I definitely think this goes in that Shiva deck. Problem is, this Shiva is wanting you to remove ice cards, so you got to be careful not to remove any of your Shivas. But
Yeah, I have to though, because it's still just one CP double freeze a character. Like that's still like fine.
Yeah.
Even if you don't get it back.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah. Definitely know that you can. There may be worlds in which this plays. You can win a turn by, going all in and playing it 3 times, because you can every time bouncing it back to your hand, and dulling and freezing a board out. But essentially 3 CP.
Next up, how can you tell when you get a decent Final Fantasy VIII card? When it's not one. It is not a seed candidate. It is not a Final Fantasy VIII card. It's called Squall. It's 3 CP 7k. It's got First Strike, and if you play it with the fire waft stuff like rain, it's going to have haste. So it's pretty good. I quite like it.
I think we should, not really on our behalf, but on behalf of Final Fantasy, throw an apology out to our big Final Fantasy VIII fan, Jack, in chat, who's crying his eyes out right now.
Oh, definitely. Here you
I'm
go.
so
You got
glad
a good
this
one.
I'm so glad it actually says 2 category WoF characters. It could have so easily said 2 category WoF forwards, and this card would have just gone right in the bin.
Yeah, exactly. Even the backups are just going to do the job. But the thing is dealing 3k on block for the ability is one thing, but if you control the
Fire Legend Rain.
it's not not a legend, it's a rare. That one. It's the damage comes off of the what do you call him? Lan.
Oh, that one, yeah. I forgot that LAN completely existed.
This
You mean
one.
This the 4 CP or the 2 CP.
Oh, it's the damage does come off of the rain. Okay, cool. So you still get the extra 2k and First Strike, and yeah, that's pretty good all the same. So not forgetting this old rain here, which is going to give all of your WoF forwards haste and make them deal 4k on attack. Beautiful stuff. Can't wait to see this again.
Yeah, I definitely
Adding
think
to
if you're
support
playing
at the very
Monday.
least.
Yeah, Monday WoF is going to have to be Ice Fire, I think.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that rain can become 0 CP, so it doesn't even have to be fire. Like it could just be like ice, earth, or something.
It does have to be fire because the loose and other backup are fire backups.
And the is it Huin?
You probably don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
We've also
Is it
got
what you-
Snow, who
your
is again not a Final Fantasy 13 character, thank God. But if you control 2 or more category WoF characters, he gains haste, which is really good. And when he attacks, choose one character, dull it and freeze it. The old Snow stuff. On
And
damage,
also
damage 3
deal
gains 3,000
5
power.
on attack.
Yeah, cool. It's good.
Yeah, I think
Gross.
this is pretty decent.
I think that there's a lot of really reasonable stuff to make a decent World of Final Fantasy deck, even if it is in fire, ice, or earth. There's definitely enough reason to be playing it again.
It's definitely a lot stronger now that the backup searcher is in ice. Because again, it says WoF characters, so you can.
While we're on
either
that, I'll bring that up
Snow
now.
or-
So the girl who forgot her element.
The girl forgot she already fucking exists. Yeah. I've I said this on our Discord. I'll say it here for the wider community to hear my opinion on this. Don't get me wrong, I can see why they've printed it with the other WoF synergy in the set, but for me, this card should have been a 4 CP and grab a WoF character, and then it has applicability in WoF, but then it starts to see it outside of that, being Mono Ice's first 4 CP backup searching engine, and it would have had some reasonable targets. You could have searched the Sid Waff, the one that gets you monsters back. You could have searched the Celeste as a 3 CP target to, freeze your opponent's backups down. I think that would have been reasonable and would have seen a decent amount of play. It would have utilised what would be a great full art, but
it's still fine.
Do you know what the funny thing with this card is? It's the exact same effect as the old Earth one from Opus 3, with the exact same cost.
Have you been drinking the same thing that Fish has been drinking?
I'm really glad you brought that up, mate. That's a good point.
So it sounds like both Paul, Fish, and Clatman have all pretended I haven't existed today, so that's great.
Who is this guy? Who let this guy in
I
here?
didn't know this, Jacko. I didn't realize you were here.
Oh, so valued.
What else have we got? Here we are. So next up is Setzer. Category 6, 5k Gambler. Once per turn, you can cast a card removed by Setzer's abilities at any time you could normally cast it. When Setzer enters the field, choose up to 2 forwards in your break zone, remove them from the game. This is pretty good. Don't get me wrong, he's not a Final Fantasy 6 card, because he cannot be. But otherwise, it's really good.
I tell you what I think, but I don't think anyone's listening, so...
Oh, go on then.
No, this is actually low-key my favourite card of the set.
I can see that entirely. I can see that.
Mainly because I've got a soft spot for Setzer, as he's one of my favourite characters from 6. But, yeah, I think it's really good.
Sorry.
It fits very well into how you play Ice.
Well, Dale, you were going to say something then. What was it? Sorry?
It just fits really well into how Jacko plays Ice.
Yeah, the break zone recursion is something that, we just have Shantoto for that at the moment. And sometimes there are just sad games where you just see all your Shantotos before you anything else. And so having this and being able to play Setzer and then even removing Shantoto as one of the forwards and then playing the Shantoto and getting something else back, the value of basically having so much access to your break zone is really good.
I don't know if anyone said this yet, but I think for this card specifically, I think in regards to break zone recursion, I think it's really good. The fact that you can remove a Shantoto from your break zone and kind of get it back. I don't think that's been mentioned yet. I just thought, that's just my opinion.
Mate, you raise an excellent point on that, Jacob. I don't think you could have articulated it any better.
Next up, we have Waff Terror that can, on entry for 5 CP 8k, can search for 2 ice summons, each with different cost, and add them to your hand. And then Magitech Laser S and discard 1 summon, choose 1 forward, deal it 9,000 damage. It's sort of cool. It's not actually a WAF card, and it's not a 6 card. It's just going to search for 2 ice summons. The problem is that ice summons are bad.
Super contested, name 4 specifically ice summons as well.
I don't know though. It's very different in certain decks. It might be better than the Legend Terror.
I agree. I think this is really good. It's just a shame that the ice summons are so crap. So, it's the kind of thing that in the future, because it allows you to basically have more teched ice summons when ice eventually gets a good plethora of summons.
Well, you can always fill your break zone with all those Shivas.
I don't see a world where you play an ice summon deck and not play that 4-cost Terror though.
Well, that's the thing, and it's can you make an argument for running both? And you I don't know.
That's a fact, mate.
Yeah, just the one. That's effect though. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good card. It's just
searchable at least.
I think it's definitely a searchable element, but it would have been that if it was 6 anyway. But yeah, I think it's definitely a card for the future for sure as well.
FOMO.
Summoner as well. The Terror Summoner as well. So it's searchable as a summoner.
When Fomor enters the field, choose 1 dull forward, deal it 4,000 damage. And then put Fomor into the break zone, choose 1 dull forward, deal it 4,000 damage. If your opponent has 2 or less cards in their hand, deal it 7 instead. No.
No.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, enough said.
It's a nice looking card.
Cat 11, that doesn't look bad.
It will look lovely in my binder. Next card is Mimwu, 2 CP backup, White Mage Rebel. When Mimwu enters the field, choose 1 character, freeze it. And for 1 and dull, put him into the break zone, choose 1 character, dull it and freeze it. I really like it.
Nice opening backup.
The problem
might-
is there was backups like that last set. I think did the job better, and no one played those anyway. So
And then it might
Like,
incentivize people to play more backups in mono ice.
man, I hear there's this guy that doesn't really. He says you don't need them, so I don't think you should bother.
I heard he doesn't exist, so it doesn't matter.
I don't know. Going second, turns off an opponent's turn. I really rate this card. I believe it's searchable off of the Opus 15 guy.
Yes, because it's a rebel.
Rebel.
And Joseph, I believe.
Joseph searches a forward.
But backup to forward, backup is pretty nice, I guess.
Yeah, it's not too
I think,
bad.
I think it's a decent comment. I think it'll definitely be reasonable in sealed format for sure. I think I could see some people trying it in constructed as well.
Next up is the real legend, Ishtola.
Yeah.
Busted.
That's amazing.
Have they
Howard's the hero,
confirmed whether they're
no,
getting
no.
this as a full art foil in this set at all?
I don't know.
No, Jacko, you can't have any more full art foils.
But
Yeah, it's not in the
if they
database
don't, I'm
under
gonna be-
this, so
I'm
we
gonna
haven't
be
seen.
So upset.
I mean,
It should be,
does
right?
have a full art variant, but I'm not sure if it's going to be in the packs.
At least you got a foil
buy some
regular
more.
one in the Dissidia collection. So,
Oh, baby. And also because everyone got one, if it is just foil, no one's gonna there's gonna be about 1 million on the market. So
the text, we should probably talk about what it does. It's an Ishtola. It's 8K. It's category 14 and Dissidia. It's a job sign of the 7th Dawn. If your opponent has 2 cards or less in their hand, Ishtola gains haste. When Ishtola attacks, choose one forward and deal it 9,000 damage minus 1,000 damage for each card in your opponent's hand. We've been playing with this for a couple of weeks. It's
I was gonna
busted.
say, where have you been living, under a rock? It's been all over our bloody channel for good reason.
Yeah, it's really good. Really, really good.
Gets a Paul Fallon seal of approval.
I
really.
think absolutely. We don't dish this out for
Oh.
anything. So, yeah.
Oh baby.
Howard's a hero, I will never know. It should be a legend.
Decent synergy with jobs, decent with with the amount of decks that it goes in so far. Very searchable, very playable. It's everything that you dream of in a card to reinvigorate ice. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to try this in Mono Lightning, replacing the dual element.
Oh, out of nowhere we have Paul Phelan, who has been lurking for ages and now is talking. Say hello, Paul.
Hi, everybody. You're right.
Anything else that you want to give thoughts on while you're unmuted?
Yeah, just this card is really a card to get excited for. I think it goes well, like I said, into the Mono Lightning deck. I think it replaces the wind element Ishtola and possibly even the dual element Ishtola as well.
No, but yeah. It's still really, really good. And you say get excited, like this hasn't been played for a month.
No, exactly.
But yeah, cards
I
really good.
don't think I've had a week without seeing this at least in 2 different decks on stream, right?
Yeah, I know. It's the games we've had recently have just been all of this, and it's just completely mashed everything that it's gone on the board against. Really solid card. Really excited to see what this will do in the future.
I mean, it's definitely down to Jacko though. Like everyone seems to want to play Jacko's deck at locals at the moment.
Yeah, well, funny enough, I've got my list as private on FFTCG, and weirdly, it's got 70 views. And I've only said that list.
Somebody's been sharing it.
I've only said that list to one person.
Well, we'll be having words about that, won't we? So next up is a solid common Reaper 3CP standard unit. 5k. When Reaper enters the field, select one of the 2 following. Choose one dull forward of cost 3 or less, break it, and your opponent discards 1 card. That's really good. I think this will absolutely see standard play.
Another flat out breaking ice, like they're getting there.
It is dull
good couple of
forward,
these
but still very doable.
And then
cost
card
three
to
as
card.
well.
It synergizes with a lot of stuff with the nice then with the discard.
Well, there is a card coming up in Earth that makes this even better.
Yeah.
Which is
That was a card I was kind of alluding to earlier as well.
Yeah, very, very exciting. But again, we'll probably talk about this more when that one comes up. But
But I still think we see this. I'm definitely going to be trying this as like a 3 of them on mono ice deck because I think this is like I've straight away replaced the new Terror for it, the new starter deck Terror with this, because the fact you can have the choice of the two options, because there are times where your opponent's empty-handed and it's like, oh, well, I've now got these cards that discard an entry, but it's wasted because they've got nothing to discard. So having that extra ability to do a break instead is so nice.
Yeah, there's too much that's good about this. I think that will absolutely make this see ridiculous play. Very happy that it's a common. I mean, to be honest with you, it's one of those things that I could even see this somewhere down the line becoming a monthly promo. It's really solid. I'm really excited to see what this will do. And next up, we've got 3 cards left in Ice, and next up we've got the most exciting full art for everybody, which is Renoa. Is not a full art. It was released by mistake.
I was
It's
so
not a full art
upset
yet.
when we saw the full art for
I
it.
wasn't at all. I love Theatre of the Mart. I'd be happy for more
It's
full
so
arts of it.
boring looking.
It's not a full art yet.
Yeah, not when one of us wins Worlds and chooses
When
it.
I win Worlds, I'm making this my full art for the fans.
I'll never look at you again.
All the more reason to do it.
You can cast summons removed by Renoa's ability at any time you would normally cast them, and choose one forward. Choose one summon in your break zone, remove it from the game. It's not great. Be honest,
No.
I don't think this will see play in any format. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
It's
Alrighty.
not gameplay.
So next up we have Lufenian. I'm not really sure what to think about this one, because it's only good if it's your first backup and you can't make sure that you have it. But it's definitely strong. Jacko, what do you reckon?
I don't like it.
There we go. That's enough for me.
Need an Ice Sildra, then we'll be sorted.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
No, because it would just
Let's
get
not
banned.
have an Ice Sildra, please, dear God.
Just get
Can you
banned.
imagine? Can you imagine? Yeah, I don't like things that it has to be your first backup, and then otherwise it's just like a dead 2CP. Yeah, it took me a while to come around to playing Armor, and now I don't really like that card, but I just think, anytime you're playing this not as your first backup, it's sad. But then to play as your first backup, you're playing it as 3. Yeah, I don't think Ice is short of ways to discard right now. So yeah, I'm not massively sold on this just yet.
Lastly, we have the brand new Sid Ulstein, Urson Arbiter. You can't play him because you can't play Sid Ulstein because he is Sid Ulstein.
Obviously.
When you can, for 0, you can choose one forward and break it if they have no cards in their hand. What do people think of this one?
I strangely like it, but just because if you're running a full discard deck, it has its uses.
It's like the original Sid, the other 5.9k EX burst one, where it entered and it broke a forward if your opponent had no cards on hand, but you can kind of like delay the ability to when you need it to be done.
Sure.
And it can also be done in multiple turns in a row.
Well, it's just that card but updated. It's
Pretty
exactly
much,
what you would. If that card was to be printed in Opus 21, this is exactly how I'd expect it to read. So yeah.
But it doesn't have EX burst, which is really sad for sure.
But the old one never really killed off its EX burst. The old one.
To be fair, the old one, I felt like most of the time people were just running it as a one of, like, eventually anyway, before it got cut completely. I think a lot of the time, I think if people saw one of these go into your damage or go into your break zone or anything, they would forever be scared thinking about this card coming down and really trying to hold on to their cards in hand. So I feel like you could definitely do the same with this card, just like kind of play it as a one-off, sort of like flash it to your opponent or at some point be like, oh, be scared. And they probably will be.
I mean, especially if you're running a discard deck in the new Ultimecia, because it comes under the Ultimecia cost.
I would say more than anything, Go-Go can copy the effect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is an Ice Earth card more than it is a mono Ice card.
Yeah.
And I agree, if you're playing it, I'm probably going to see if I can try and find room for Go-Go as well. I don't think you can find room for both of those in the current mono Ice list, which is why I don't think it's as good a card in mono Ice. But I think in Ice Earth, definitely, because that's more of a slow, discard over time type deck. So yeah.
All right, okay, so I think we'll leave it there. We're going to have a short break, and we'll be back with Wind in a few minutes. Thanks very much.